mean, growing up, it's interesting the whole all these movements going on now. Is trying to change how fundamentally, and I think it's trying to make the next generation a bit better.
Yeah.
And I sympathize with that. I think it can go a bit extreme a lot of the time. But one thing I think is a positive is being able for men, especially just because I'm a dude. That's all I know. I think, being emotionally involved and letting, dudes talk about their emotions, so important. Because all my life I wasn't able to. And only recently I found it, okay through my writing.
Yeah.
Or art.
Right.
To be able to be vulnerable in that way.
Yeah.
Even here. Like, that's honestly one of the reasons I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Was to be able to be open about subjects that I really don't talk to anyone about. Especially being emotional. It being okay to feel.
It being socially acceptable for a man to be emotional. That doesn't make him any less manly or any less masculine. Like,
absolutely.
Whether you're male, female, we all have emotions. And to feel things is to be human. To feel pain, to feel love, to feel touched by something, to cry. That's a human thing.
Sure.
And I think it actually takes strength for a man. Like, I personally am way more attracted to a man who is comfortable showing their emotions, whether that be whatever the emotion is. And not being afraid to communicate their feelings constructively.
I mean, dude, that's awesome. Because speaking on that, I mean, me personally, my relationships have been a bit wafty, and lately I've just been working this past year and moving for the immediate future. I'm just working on myself. I told everyone around my life is if you want to be in my life, this is kind of where I'm doing. I'm in a very self-care type of thing. I'm going to talk to whoever I want to talk to. I'm just being me. And if you want to talk with me or be a part of my life, awesome, but don't try to change who I am, because for the longest time that's kind of the position I was in.
Really?
I mean, from external, a lot of it internal as well. But and I think it's important to be able to be that open. Because for the longest time I was not. Talk about stress.
Yeah, and it's very liberating when you do feel, you express something that you might have not, you feel inhibited to express for whatever reason, cultural conditioning. And especially here in the South, there's a lot of cultural conditioning about what it means to be manly and what it means to be feminine. And the lines get blurred, and it doesn't matter. Just be who you are. Be authentic. And if you're authentically expressing anything, that's human. And that's totally okay.
No, yeah, absolutely. Even in relationships, I find.
Yeah.
Honesty, completely, but at the same time being able to be willing to be honest about how you feel about certain subjects or how you feel in general on a daily basis or whatever ends up happening. I think it's fair to speak about. Even if it can be a little scary.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because sometimes the truth hurts, though.
Yeah, it does. But for me, I would much rather be told the truth and be hurt than be deceived by a lie. Because if my happiness is based on a lie, that's not real happiness. Because it's based on something that's not real.
Absolutely.
So I would have more respect for someone who told me the truth that hurt versus pretending and hiding and
absolutely.
I try to uphold the same respect for other people, friends that I have. I don't want to just sugarcoat and placate and tell them what they want to hear, because that's not actually kind. I don't think telling someone what they want to hear, if it's not true, I don't think that's a kind thing to do. I think that's not helpful.
No, if you're their friend, I mean, you have to be honest.
And so, I mean, I always feel like just being as authentic as possible. I mean, granted, there's tactful ways to break the heart. If there's a brutal reality, you have to. There's tactful and little more, kind or gentle. You can tell them the gentle, harsh reality.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be a complete
Right. No, I agree. I agree. Absolutely. I mean, I'm with you. There's ways to come across, I think, through actions and words positive, you know, even if they're hard truths. Because the older I get, man, the more complicated things get. And I'm like, holy shit.
And all this like concern about always worrying about being politically correct all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, like, you know, if that's not your truth, then I think that's okay. I think everyone should feel free to speak their truth as long as it's not, you know, destructive in the sense of like gonna really hurt someone to a degree. You know what I'm within reason. Okay.
No, absolutely.
Common sense.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll bring that up because this week has been an interesting week in itself.
Really?
Oh man, like learned so much about myself.
Oh.
It was wild, man. Cause like I had for the longest time I had this Twitter and I've always like held back on saying a few things on there just because it's on there.
Yeah.
I got canceled, yo.
Oh,
it was crazy.
What did you do?
I didn't even do anything I thought was crazy. I mean, okay, so basically what happens is YouTuber NikkieTutorial, right, came out as trans.
Okay.
And awesome. Her truth, you know, beautiful. And unfortunately, she came out of it because of blackmail. Like someone had found out and was holding that information hostage for whatever reason. I didn't get too much in the granular details, but that was the situation. And so instead, she made her own video and just came out on her own terms, her own power. Beautiful message, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that all went down. And on Twitter, it was all this positivity, yes, but also people having questions. And I think questions are fair, especially when diving into issues that I would consider new, fresh, and almost intimidating, you know? And so there were a lot of people on her feed asking questions. And I don't know, I don't want to say it's her community because that's being very broad, but there was a select, loud few that were labeling the people that just had questions about the situation as transphobic, you know, toxic stuff. And these guys didn't really do anything but ask questions. And I find it, I hate to be political about it, but I think in essence it's being political, you know, that asking questions means you're being hateful or means you're being transphobic or means this or that negative, you know, offend. You're trying to trigger people.
Right.
So in my mind, I was like, let's be a little lighthearted. Let's just, I want to say a joke.
Yeah.
You know, and if I trigger people, I want them to rather trigger on this tweet than bother other people that just are really just trying to learn more about the situation.
Yeah.
So all I said was, oh, she's a dude, you know.
That's it.
That's it. Oh, she's a dude. Yeah. 4 words.
And then you got all the,
Dude, I got like
it's
some
amazing.
threats. Like people wanted to
But
cut
it's
me
not
up.
like you're saying, oh, gross, she's a dude. Oh, or, oh, that's amazing. Or, oh, wonderful. You're not saying like you're for or against it. You're just saying, oh, she's a dude.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all I said.
It's almost like you're accepting it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I thought it would be open enough where people can interpret it whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I think that may have been the issue.
Like, what do you mean? What does this mean? Like,
well, a lot of the stuff that I got was, you know, telling me to go to hell, you know, saying that they were going to like, you know, cut me up and like just all this negative shit. And a lot of it, I didn't really find any of it bothersome, only a few. And, you know, again, it was me being labeled as transphobic. And I mean, I apologize for offending people. I don't want to offend anyone. But at the same time, I think it's a bit unfair for you just to assume my position on things from 4 little words.
4 little words. And that's what's difficult about these online platforms. You're reading text. You're not listening to a person talk. You can misinterpret things as sarcastic, literal, antagonistic, and you have no idea the intention behind those words.
Absolutely.
People make assumptions. And the thing that's crazy about this whole like social media, it's like this platform where people feel more comfortable expressing themselves because there's like this protective layer of the screen. You're not like
Absolutely.
live.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they're triggered, they feel more comfortable going off.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, how productive is that? How constructive is that? There's a way to invite someone into a conversation and have a conversation. And there's a way to just like, you're wrong, I'm right, you're this, you're that,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not surprised you got all of that after you said that.
Oh, dude.
And you were just trying, what was your intent in writing that?
Honestly, a lot of it was because I meant it as a joke, because I'm willing to use whoever or whatever pronouns people want to be referred to. But honestly, I kind of want to make a statement as well, because a lot of these people, these poor people, were just asking questions, and they were, labeled so negatively just for being curious. And I think if I was on the side of the trans movement, not saying I'm not, I don't know how I feel about the whole thing. But regardless, if I'm a part of a movement, you would think you would need to be, coming into people open-minded instead of defensive or triggered, just so people can be educated about that movement.
Yeah.
But on the opposite end of that, and what all I saw was, people being attacked for being curious. So in my mind, I just wanted to write something that was open to be interpreted positive or negative, and just let it lie.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But most of it was negative.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, hell, people can feel about it the way they want. And I want to have someone, either a part of the movement or something like that here, just so we can debate and to see if it's something that's, to see if it's something that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Common.
Okay.
For people to just react that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It may be heated, but I think it's okay.
So what do you consider as part of the movement? I mean,
I see.
Morally supportive or understanding or.
Well, if that's the standard, then I'm a part of that movement.
Yeah.
But at the same time, personally, I think that, if you're born a certain way, let's say.
Or you're saying only like people who identify with a different, people who are transgender, you're saying those are the only people you consider part of the movement?
No, not at all.
Okay,
I think it, to your point, that's a fair question. It depends. I think people that have made up their mind, if they are, on certain subjects of the movement. I haven't made up my mind yet about
I got you.
it.
Yeah.
So like with me, I can't tell about the movement just because I don't know if it's negative. So let's say I join this movement and it's for the sake of the downtrodden. I'm for that movement because I don't want anyone to get offended or triggered or anything like that. But at the same time, if me joining that movement is unhealthy, I don't want to be a part of it. And that's where I'm a little confused. And that's why I want to have someone on about it. Because for me, I don't know if it's healthy to... I'm going to get screwed up. I don't know if it's healthy to go along with people on their beliefs about themselves. If it in themselves, it's mentally, it's coming from a bad mental place, and there's a lot of misinformation about that whole thing in particular. Like, cause for me, if like, let's say me, I'm Homero, born a man. I don't know how it feels to have feelings about being born in the wrong body.
Yeah.
But are those feelings true? Or are those feelings brought on by external factors that make it so mentally it's an illness, or I'm mentally incompetent in this way, where in my mind I'm only going to be happy if I'm in this body, So
you're just on the fence, because you feel like the verdict's still out on all the research.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think there's so much more. We barely scratched the surface on understanding why, the transgender movement is a thing.
Yeah.
And there's so much we still don't understand. There is a lot of research to scientifically kind of explain why someone might be born certain I mean, it's you have to be so careful with the words you say now.
I know.
Because like there's a difference between a person's gender and then a person's sex. And then there's, I was actually, where was I going with that? Anyway,
gender and sex.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, I feel like that we all just need to kind of respect what we don't know about it and respect people for their own choices. And whether, you decide to be for or against it, respect the difference of opinion and,
Totally.
Just be kind. That's my thing. But going along with what I was saying, there's just so many different like terms that have evolved based on like sexual, there's pansexual.
Right.
There's, it's like, I'm not bisexual, I'm pansexual.
And that's being attracted to neither of the traditional sexes or genders. Is that right? Or, like sexually attracted, is that right?
There's just basically so many different types of ways to identify yourself.
Okay.
As far as like your sexual orientation and then your sexual preference.
Okay.
And it's gotten so like all these, omnisexual.
What does that mean?
I can't remember. I was like doing some research recently, and there's so many terms that I learned that I was like, this is a
Wow.
People who are, I can't remember all of them, but
It's so saturated.
But
though.
yeah, it's just, it's kind of like, do you even have to have a label? Because sometimes it's fluid and things change and how you feel changes and like label, like all the label. It's like, no, I don't quite fit into this label, but I don't quite fit into this label or this. So I'm going to create a new label, but then I don't quite fit into this. So it's like, maybe we should just stop worrying about it.
Sure. I think that's fair. Honestly, I'm going through my own renaissance, man. I wouldn't know what label I am right now at all.
But yeah,
and I feel like I'm pretty easy.
Yeah, and I just feel like also, it's difficult for me. Like I worry about offending, like you're saying, like offending people, that are changing or identifying in a different way than you thought. You make assumptions, and then so I think you have to be careful about offending people, and so many people get so easily offended. But my thing is maybe, if you get offended by someone, instead of attacking back, like you were saying, attacking them, pause, take a breath, and then educate them and say, okay, you're coming at from a slightly ignorant standpoint. Let me explain to you, and approaching it that way. It's like, these people aren't trying to be mean. They're asking questions. Right. Let me just educate. Yeah. Versus like attacking you and calling you homophobic or transphobic or whatever. Yeah. I'm sure there's like tons of different like terms out there that I'm not even totally familiar with. Like I'm globally sexual, and I'm like, what is globally sexual? Oh, you don't know? Well, you're just homophobic or whatever, So
we're gonna cancel you.
So yeah, it's this interesting phenomenon that's happening. It's like, it's like I'm not homosexual. I'm queer, blah, 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 all these different terms, and it's confusing.
I'm confused.
So I don't think it's fair to like lash out at someone for not understanding or not being,
No, absolutely.